Hello everyone, this is Paradox Pen Spinning. Welcome back to another video tutorial, and this one will be on the fingerless thumb around reverse release. So yeah, pretty cool one. This is how it looks like. There's a lot of things you can do with this one. I usually, in combos, just go into a Twisted Sonic or something like that. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the tutorial. So, first thing is that you want to know how to do the fingerless thumb around reverse very smoothly, alright? Get that real consistent so that you can do it pretty much every time, landing it in the same spot. Alright? So, normally when you do a fingerless thumb around reverse, you're going at least somewhat horizontal. If not, then maybe a little diagonal. But I think usually you're pretty horizontal. But for this trick, I find it a little easier if you go a little bit more vertical. So first thing to consider is to move your hand slightly more vertically. Alright? So now get your fingerless TAs reverse to be a bit more, vertical, and get those consistent. Now if you already have this, the regular horizontal consistent, this should not be a problem. But just get used to the feeling, get used to the weight, get used to, just get used to it. Okay, so now I'm going to explain exactly how the pen moves throughout the trick. So, if we start with blue up, alright? And when I mean up, I mean it's facing away from you. So it should be facing forward. So we start off like a normal fingerless thumb around reverse. We, jolt our wrist back a little and just do the normal motion. So if blue's on top, we start off, and once it's about here, it's like, so blue's here. Once blue is just about, or like as soon as you're about to catch it, that's a good time to throw it. So you normally catch it there. You see, like, instead of catching it, you're just throwing. So that's basically when you throw it. It's just a little before you're about to catch it. And remember to be at least a little diagonal and just throw it up, alright? And I would work on getting a consistent speed. Make sure that the pen, well, actually you want to get two things consistent. Well, first is you want the speed of the pen. Actually, three things. You want the speed of the pen to be consistent. The second thing is you want the area to be right above your hand, or at least a little to the right, because I think naturally it goes a little to the right. So if it goes to the right, that's okay. Just make sure it's, still a reasonable distance to your hand. And the third thing you want consistent is your release point. Alright? Slow down, goes right here, and then we release. We bring our hand up, and we open our hand too. So when we throw it, practice opening your hand. Again, you still don't have to catch it, just remember to keep your hand open, like at least like half a second after you release it. And make sure that your hand is angled the same, or at least somewhat similar to the pen's angle. So if you're doing it almost completely horizontally, which I would not recommend, but if you do decide to do that, make sure that your hand is also horizontal. If yours is really vertical, which I also don't recommend, then your hand should still be at the correct angle. Alright, so that's another thing. And now for the hardest part of the trick, which is the catch. So if you have your release, all of those three things that I said are consistent, the point of release, speed, and just location, then you're ready to work on the catch, which, as you may have figured, is, I'd say, the hardest part of the trick. So basically, when you release it, the pen should do one rotation. It's more of 3/4 because when you release it, it's the blue's like around here, and when you catch it, yeah, I guess you could say it's one rotation, but it depends. So that's why it's important to get your speed consistent and tight. But anyways, when this blue part is coming down, and I would definitely, if you have a dual colored pen, then that would really help, I think, because you could keep track of the side. But anyways, when the blue comes around, your hand should open, and you can catch this wherever you want. I almost always catch it in 2-3. I just feel it's easiest in 2-3, but of course you can catch it in 1-2, 3-4, or even T1 if you want. But if you want to catch it in 2-3, release, open, and it should theoretically fall right into here. So when your hand opens up and it's ready to catch the pen, all you're gonna do is bring these two fingers out, alright? That way, when it comes down, it's being carried just like a double charge. Like, if you know the double charge, this would also help, because look, when you do your double charge, these two fingers they close in so that they can just push it back up to keep the momentum. See? And it keeps the momentum. This is the same thing. When you throw it, these two fingers close in, and then when the pen lands, and also you want it to land at least somewhere between here and here. That's the best spot, I think. And also, there's a lot to this trick, so I would definitely say if you want to do this into a twisted sonic, catch it a little lower. If you want to do it into a sonic, a little higher, but that's just for you to experiment with. But anyways, when the pen lands in here, then your fingers extend to push it, to keep it going. So when it lands, it closes in just like it would in a double charge. So yeah. Now let's go over some tips. So this one is just basically going to cover wrist movement, and it should come naturally, hopefully, but in case you don't get it, this one should help. So when I do the trick to 2-3 into a twisted sonic, you can see the wrist, keep track of the wrist. So those are two sloppy ones, I apologize for that, but you can see that when I enter the beginning force, my wrist like almost goes down. You see it goes down into the side. That shouldn't be a surprise if you already know how to do the fingerless thumb around reverse, which you should. But as you release it, then your wrist turns this way to catch, and it's almost instantaneous. When you let go, your hand should open up and your wrist turns too. Alright? Just like that. And remember, these two go out to carry it on just like a double charge. And say you wanted to do this to a different finger slot. Well, if you want to go to 3-4, which I'd say is probably the hardest, well, you do the same motion, right wrist. Palm opens up, except only your pinky is going to open up. And since this is landing in probably the hardest finger slot to control, you're going to need a bit more force to pull it along. So you might want to exaggerate your wrist or hand movements so that you could finish it off. But it should be all natural, and same for 1-2 if you want to do 1-2. Just, I rarely ever have to do it in 1-2, but you see, it's just the same, except all 3 of these fingers go out. And T1 is actually, I don't think I've ever tried T1 to be honest, but you just apply the same thing to T1. You release, and then, well, I guess only your index finger doesn't have to, only extends. You don't have to extend all 4 of your fingers just for this. Just extend your index and you're fine, right? Just like that. It's a weird catch, but yeah. And now for the fun part. So, you can add more or less rotations on this trick. Like, so the normal one just does half a rotation. But you can, not half, a full rotation. But you can make it do less or more. So if you want to do only a half rotation, it's just that. I think it's pretty simple to do the half when you know the full one. I never use it, but 1.5 I use sometimes. And all you have to do, I would say don't increase your speed, alright? I would just say to increase your height, because if you're not used to a higher speed, it could really collapse unless you practice it. But I just think it's easier if you raise the height instead of the speed for 1.5. So if the pink is out, you release here, that's half, that's a whole, and then you'd catch it like right here, alright? Just like that, alright? And I like that one. And for doubles, same thing, just add another half. If pink is out, then you release around here. It's half, full, 1.5, and double. See, I've never practiced these things, but feel free to try them out if you want. But yeah, I'd say from doubles and onward, then you're gonna want to increase your speed, because there's only so much higher you can go, and also you start to lose track of rotations. Another reason why you might want, different colored ends. But anyways, that's been it for this pretty fun tutorial on the Fingerless Thumb Around Reverse Release. Quite the name, but yeah, thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, or future video suggestions, leave them in the comments, and I will try to reply. So yeah, thanks for watching.